Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today's video has been kind of hard for me to make because I'm currently disheartened with the state of VR games. Now this is not a VR is dead topic, but it's been disappointment after disappointment lately. And I want to discuss, why is this happening? Why after so many years does it feel like VR games are getting worse rather than better? What is the current state of VR? How can developers do anything about this? What can we do about this? What's in store for the future? There's a lot to discuss here, guys. Now, there are, of course, links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead. But before we jump in, this video is brought to you by VR2, developers of prescription lens inserts for all of your favorite VR headsets. They now support both the Pimax Crystal and PlayStation VR2, in addition to other headsets like the Quest 2. So if you're struggling with glasses in your VR headset, or you just want to make things a bit easier or more comfortable, go check out the prescription lens inserts from VR2. There's a link down in the description, and don't forget to use my discount code for 10% off and to help support this channel. Okay, so before I get into my specific complaints with VR, I'm curious to know how you guys are feeling. Let me know down in the comments. Are you just still loving VR? You're playing your same specific game, whatever the case may be, and you just can't get enough VR? Are you looking into mods because you don't like the content that's currently out there? Are you just currently waiting it out for the Quest 3? Whatever it may be, let me know down in the comments right now. Now, my specific complaints are not exactly in line with the whole VR industry. They don't have to resolve my issues to have a thriving VR community. However, I know there's plenty of other people who feel like me, and we're going to discuss why the quality of games is just not increasing. With the current state of VR, I feel like we took older titles for granted. Games like Asgard's Wrath, Robo Recall, Defector, Astrobot. These games were all amazing, but when we played them, maybe with the exclusion of Astrobot, I remember thinking, I love this game. This game is fantastic, but it's not quite there yet. It's either a little shallow here, needs more content, the controls aren't on point, whatever it may be. You know, those were some of the feelings I had, but I was like, wow, VR is really coming together. These games are gonna be amazing. Now let's progress 5+ years, and they're not better. What the heck is going on? Some current examples include Firewall Ultra and Crossfire Sierra Squad. Now, Firewall Ultra forgot it was a VR game and gave us a mediocre shooter, which still needs a decent amount of work. And Firewall Ultra just was mid and not in line with any of their marketing. So that was definitely a disappointment. You could still get some fun out of those games, but they're definitely not the best that VR has to offer. And you can't use the excuse of, you know, Quest hardware. It's a Quest port, or it's on the limited Quest hardware. We're using arguably the best VR hardware out there, and that's a loaded statement. I don't want to get into that discussion. However, we're using advanced VR hardware, and the games are still meh. I'm going to keep saying that. Now, there's two issues that keep facing VR titles time and time again. They're either overly casual or just extremely shallow. Now, you can support the industry on casual games. Cell phone games make a ton of money. But with this brand new, highly immersive tech, I don't think that's what we want or what we were expecting. So why does this keep happening? Well, it comes back to that original catch-22 that VR has been facing forever. No one's going to pay $400 to $500 for a platform that doesn't have any high-end games, and no one's going to develop high-end games for a platform that doesn't have a player base. I mean, it's been like this forever, and it's really frustrating. Generally, companies making the hardware push first-party titles to get people excited about the platform, which is another topic that I will come back to a little bit later. Now, compounding this issue is the fact that flat-screen gaming and consoles have been around for nearly 50 years. They've had plenty of time to mature, and we've become accustomed to a certain degree or certain level of gaming, which VR can't deliver right now because the budgets are too small and they have additional VR constraints. Another kicker is the fact that there are a few studios out there who know how to truly optimize for VR development, or just how to develop VR games in general, and people are constantly reinventing the wheel. There's also the additional headache of multi-platform support, which is not anything compared to flat screen. Developing the same game for both Xbox and PlayStation is rather simple, but when you have to throw on 8 different headsets, all these different controllers, and make your whole staff nauseous in the process when the game doesn't work right on a specific headset, well then, things get a lot more complicated. So what we end up getting left with is games that people like to refer to as tech demos, or just projects that are limited in scope or fairly shallow. Now, to give you some examples, people love to call Beat Saber a tech demo, which makes me mad, like makes me crazy mad, because if you've been playing the same game, or at least some people have been playing the same game, Beat Saber, for 5+ years now, it's not a freaking tech demo. Maybe you could call it a one-trick pony. It only does one thing, but it does it really well. And Beat Saber is like some of the best that VR has to offer in certain ways. Again, topic I'm not getting into here. Now, when we talk about things in limited scope, we have a game like Synapse, which came out on the PlayStation VR2, which I absolutely loved. But again, it delivers great mechanics, a fun aspect, but the storyline goes nowhere, and there's not a ton of content. So it's a limited in scope project. They succeeded, but due to their constrained budget, this is about all we get. And that's what we, keep getting in VR. Now, there are unique outliers. Obviously, someone's going to mention Half-Life Alyx, but the development on this is just atypical. Like Valve said, we're going all in. We're going to, throw caution to the wind. If we lose money, we lose money, but we have the Half-Life IP. We really know how to work things in VR like many other studios don't know how to do, because remember, they've been working on this technology for years. And they just, they said, listen, if the game fails, so be it. We have our little special fund of money here that we could dip into, because they're not a game development studio anymore. That's not where they make all their money. So Half-Life doesn't count. You could throw something like Vertigo 2 in there, but that's really more of a passion project. Zach was working on this game for 5+ years, and I've heard that he did actually have help from Valve on the inside. Certain people, helped him along the way. If that's true or not, I don't know, but it seems very possible, because if one person made that game, everyone else in VR just sucks, which is not the case. There's plenty of amazing studios out there. And there's also those games that I already filed under one-trick pony, like Beat Saber. They're made specifically for VR. They would only really work or be fun in VR, but they're more on the casual side, and people who came from flat screen gaming who want these robust AAA style titles, they're disappointed in something like that. They want the God of War. They want Halo. They want games like that, these big budget blockbusters, which VR cannot deliver. Now, enough complaining from me. What can we actually do about this? Well, in a perfect world, Sony, Meta, Valve, and even Pico would all come together for the betterment of VR. They would standardize controls, share technology, do away with exclusives, do everything in their power to make development easier for studios, and basically increase the user experience. But they're direct competitors, so that's not going to happen. Now, first-party titles could definitely go a long way, something that both Meta and Valve have tried, and the money probably isn't there. They have to decide if they're willing to take a loss again, just like they do with subsidizing hardware, just to help the overall industry grow. Unfortunately, we may just have to sit around and wait for games to mature. I mentioned flat screen titles multiple times in this video, and again, Atari, Nintendo, Genesis games, they were pretty darn shallow too. It took a while for games to get where they are. The industry had to grow. So we're in the same state with VR. What we could do as consumers is basically support it, but don't blindly throw your money at VR. That won't help. Listen, if we bought every single game, every piece of hardware right now and threw a ton of money towards Meta and these companies, well, they would have no incentive to do better. So we do have to support them, but we also have to be critical of them. We have to call out BS. We have to give constructive criticism, something that I'm very proud of how I run my channel. I call out all the crap I see. If I don't think something's great or, why it's lacking, I'm going to let you know. And we have to do that constructively. And this way the industry will grow. It's growing, guys. It is. It has been this much slower growth rate than a lot of people expected, but VR grows every year. They expected this exponential off the chart. It's the biggest thing. We're all walking around with a headset in 2 years. No, not even close, but it's getting there. I think it has a very bright future. I may be a little disheartened right now, but I still believe in the future of VR. I'm going to be doing this channel for a long time and continue supporting it. Again, I would love to hear your feedback down in the comments about how you're feeling or this video in general. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And as always, I'll see you guys on next time.